What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Unquestionably Raw NBA podcast. I've got Brady with us again. We got Gonzo, and we got my man Curtlow again with us to talk about a little Rockets and Spurs today. And before, we all saw this massacre, 114-75 Spurs. But I got to say, I felt like I was watching someone play NBA 2K on rookie mode. It was almost like someone playing Mortal Kombat, fatality, finish him. It was crazy. It was just, yeah. But I'm going to Curtlow first. Curtlow, man, what happened to the Rockets tonight, bro?
Oh, there was a lot of things that happened. They didn't show up. You got to show up in the beginning of the games. You can't just let the Spurs. I was reading something the other day where I'm sorry, before the game where they said the Spurs have led every first quarter. You know what I'm saying? They took the first points. You gotta show some pride in it. And the defense was horrible, man. Well, I mean, if you can't get it done on defense, how you gonna come back? I mean, how you gonna outscore them? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make no sense today. Very disappointed in these Rockets.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking at the score, and Gonzo mentioned it to me. It looked like really only Trevor Ariza and Capella seemed like the only ones interested in playing tonight.
Yeah, when you can see the body language in these guys, and a lot of them were showing that they was giving up already before even at halftime. This is the thing you got to question: where's the damn leadership at? You know what I'm saying? They say Patrick Beverly leader, they say Trevor Ariza leader, even say James Harden leader. I ain't see no leadership out there tonight.
That was some terrible. That was bad. I even said, I put it on Facebook. I don't know if I put it on Twitter, but I said that's one of the most I've seen in a playoff game in a while as a team effort. That was really, it was awful. Brady, what did you think?
This is just an old-fashioned ass whooping. I mean, this game was, compared to last night's blowout, I had a lot of fun watching this game because the Spurs just played incredibly well. They just out-execute Houston in every aspect of the game. And I'm really disappointed mostly in the fact that Mike D'Antoni throughout this series really didn't show any ability to make key adjustments. They kept trying to do the same things over and over, and Greg Popovich made adjustments. We talked about it the other day, how Greg Popovich put LaMarcus Aldridge on Trevor Ariza, and they were laying off on the pick and rolls, forcing Harden to pass the ball out. And D'Antoni never adjusted for that. And what we saw offensively for Houston tonight, and really the last few games, was neither D'Antoni nor Harden had a solution for the fact that people were doing different things to them than they'd seen all year. They've gone the entire season with James Harden getting a high screen, getting to a spot, and either kicking it to an open man, getting fouled, or scoring. And San Antonio started doing new things, trying new stuff, forcing them to do different things, and they didn't adjust. And you saw that from Harden tonight, was he would just
absolutely
try to do what he normally did.
They became easy to defend.
Because when Harden didn't have what he was looking for, he just stopped and passed it to someone else. And they just stood around like as my high school coach would have said, like giant pillars of salt. When Harden wasn't doing anything, they just stood there at the three-point line. They didn't move. They didn't create space. And it made it easy for San Antonio to run them off the three-point line because they were just standing there. They weren't moving. They weren't moving the ball. They weren't moving their bodies. And then defensively, Houston was just, they were awful. They put Harden on Gasol to start the game. And when that didn't work, they never even tried anything else. They just let Gasol beat them. They let Aldridge beat Capella one-on-one, and they would double when one of those guys had the ball in the post, which would leave someone else open, and San Antonio was just eating them apart, and there were just no adjustments at all. It was just thoroughly out-coaching.
Absolutely. Gonzo, what did you think of the Rockets tonight, man? I mean, obviously you can throw what you thought of the Spurs in there as well, but man, so what did you think of the Rockets tonight, man? That was awful.
I think they played probably the worst game of the playoffs of this game for them. I think the other night that overtime game against the Spurs when they got beat without Kawhi Leonard, then I think that completely took the momentum out of them. and gave it to the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
So the Spurs are already pretty much prepared on how to play them without Kawhi, just in that little 5 minute overtime. I don't understand. It's a couple of things I don't understand about D'Antoni. The 7 and 8 man rotations. I don't understand that. I think that you could use guys like Harrell, use some of these guys like Brown. Uh, Deck only played 10 minutes. Ryan Anderson was 0 for 6. It's just and they really got no bench help. They got they got a total of 17 points from the bench alone. And Capella really didn't have a great game. He just made a lot of free throws because technically he was 3 for 11 shooting with 15 points, 12 rebounds. Ariza played good though. But just the Spurs, I have to give credit to the Spurs for one thing on this series that I think they've learned. Last series, I think James Harden shot 67 free throws. This series was 37. I think it's the way Coach Popovich told his guys how to defend.
Mm-hmm. Keep your
Just stay
hands
in front
up
of them.
or down to your side.
Keep your hands
don't
up.
put your hands out. If you put your arms
and
out,
don't put your hands out.
Under you. Yeah.
And I think we said this on. I think we said the same thing on. We've all talked about this on podcasts in the past. That if James Harden isn't going to the free throw line, you can limit his game. Like free throws are a bulk of his game.
Hey, but real quick,
so
let's away from James for doing that because that's absolutely a skill. If he can draw fouls, that's a skill set, and it works for him. But I think that's the thing I've noticed when you watch the Warriors play against Harden and the Spurs, they're very good. Klay Thompson's very good at keeping his hands up or down. Steve Kerr always, he's always in Klay Thompson's heads or whoever's guarding Harden because if you put that arm out, he's coming up under you. He's going to draw that foul. And, I hate the foul. I know Curtlow has talked to it with Coach Nick, these things. We all hate that foul. But if you're James Harden, you've got to do it. It's smart basketball. So we can't hate on James Harden for it. He's just taking advantage of the rule, which is smart. I mean, I saw Curry do it the other night for the first time. Did you see it, Brady?
Yeah.
He went up under the dude's arm. I was like, what? That's the first time I've ever seen Curry take advantage of that rule. I'm shocked.
Kind of pissed me off and kind of made me happy at the same time.
I don't like it. I mean, I was shocked because I mentioned it last week, I think, with 2 weeks ago with the way these guys draw fouls. If you notice the guys who do it, they're more of the scorers, your Westbrooks, your Hardens, your guys like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. But then the guys who are the pure shooters like Reddick's, Klay, they don't really – like when you watch Klay, Kerr gets mad at him because they'll shot fake. The guy will go flying. They'll shoot the three instead of jumping into him like the scorers will do. So, but I shocked me because, it's not a natural motion to do crazy stuff like that, I just this game here for me it was when I saw Kawhi was out because obviously it was all over Twitter. I know the media was waiting for Greg Popovich. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll tell you now. He's not playing tonight." And I'm like, I'm still at my parents' place right now visiting, and I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, the Rockets are gonna win tonight. Kawhi Leonard, second best player in the NBA. He's not playing tonight." And then I thought about it. I'm like, "Damn, you know what? This is Greg Popovich." You can't underestimate this guy. His game plan was flawless. Jonathan Simmons was fantastic. They got LaMarcus Aldridge going early. He wasn't shooting those dumbass turnarounds. He was getting right to the basket. And then the sloppy play started for the Rockets early. Harden had the quick 2 or 3 turnovers, and the Spurs, they did a great job running the Rockets off the three-point line. And that's why, like you said, Harden has a layup, kicks it out to a guy at the three-point line, and the defense runs them out. They don't know what to do with the ball. And I think having Kawhi out, and even Dave DeFore mentioned it, and I was even thinking it too during the game. With Kawhi out, it forced the Spurs to move the basketball, run their stuff, get good shots, and they did that. Because usually they've been relying a lot on Kawhi playing one-on-one, taking quick shots within the offense. And just you play that against the Rockets, you're going to get ran out of the gym. And I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it the other night when during the after the game that I did not want how the Rockets blew it. They should have won Game 5, and I did not know how they would adjust and come back after lost. And it seems like they were dead after that game. It absolutely had an effect, especially on James Harden. And I think that's going to lead us into our next topic, James Harden. We haven't talked about him so far for a reason. I I think he had 10 points today. He had the 7 assists, the 6 turnovers, but he was very passive tonight. And I'm going to go to you, Gonzo. It's going to happen. Harden, nobody really, because nobody's ever said James Harden's the best player in the NBA. He had that great year a couple years ago. He could have arguably been the MVP. I wouldn't have I thought Steph was, but if you said Harden, he could have easily won. He would have been deserving. But nobody said, oh, he's the best player, second best player in the league. But now, after this year, the great season that he had, Gonzo, and you know what's going to happen? The overrated label is coming. What are your thoughts on James Harden tonight? I mean, is the overrated label coming? Do you think it's deserved?
Yeah, now it is. I mean, he's not showing up at clutch games. And as we were just saying recently, just a few minutes ago, that, drawing fouls is a skill, but you got to understand, the more you see teams, especially in the playoffs, you start to develop a habit of how you play. And you're going to see it next season. A lot of teams now, they're going to start learning how to play defense and keeping their hands up and not having them extended to keep James Harden from getting all those hooking fouls. And I just want to ask a question. Do you really think that he'll still be able to put up these ridiculous numbers without all those free throw attempts? Because
I don't know if he'll get this. I don't know if his scoring numbers will be that high. I think he can still. If you take his free throws away, he can. He's a very talented basketball player. His skill set is. I think he does have a dribble, pass, shoot. I think he can score, but I think he'll still get 20, even if he 10, 11 times. I think he's good enough. He'll adjust. He is a good enough player that he's going to adjust, and if he does get knocked down a few pegs, but from what I've seen in his career, he will adjust, and when teams start doing that. Out and he can't get away with that stuff, he'll adjust.
But see, I don't know if I can say that about him though, because like even Steph Curry, you can say one thing: if Steph Curry isn't getting to the free throw line and he doesn't get a lot of free throw attempts, we know
he doesn't ever get free throw attempts.
He doesn't get to the line that much. And one thing Steph is good at taking a step back three. Steph is good at catching and shooting. Steph is good at going to the basket at times. So he doesn't really heavily rely on the free throw. James Harden game it heavily relies on free throw attempts.
James Harden, I think he's a really sneaky, deceptive athlete. Like you don't look at him and see Russell Westbrook or LeBron James type athlete. He's very a sneaky athlete. He's got sneaky bunnies when he jumps. I think he can figure it out. But because he's learned how to get to that foul line, he hasn't really had to. So I think he can figure that out. I think he will because his handle is really tight. He's got a really good handle. I think he plays with it a little too much sometimes because the Spurs kind of figured it out. He's got to develop a couple more moves off the dribble because he's kind of doing the same thing. And because Steph Curry does the exact same move every time. But because he shoots so good, it works. I think Harden he's a great shooter, but he's not Steph. So I think he's got to add a couple more moves. And I'm going to go to Curtlow on this one. What did you think of James Harden tonight, Curtlow?
Oh, first of all, it was a piss poor performance and a horrible performance by James Harden. And I'm very, very upset about it. I want to go back into the free throw things, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me explain something to everyone, okay? It's not James Harden out there fouling people. It's the people out there fouling James Harden, okay? Don't put your hands out there. That's the rule. You know what I'm saying? Don't blame the man for getting free throws attempt. This is a real problem, and it should be on investigation. When you get 14 free throws in OKC and you get 7 free throws in the next series, something ain't right there when you're averaging 10 free throws a game, all right? You can give all the credit in the world to Pop. I hit the wrist every time. But bodying somebody is the same thing as a foul to me. You know what I'm saying? So they wasn't calling it. The Rockets didn't adjust. And Brady explained it to him when he said 7-8 man rotation. Where the hell is going on? They never played that all year. All of a sudden they go on 7-8 man rotation. You know what I'm saying? That worries people. You can't have James Harden on Paul Gasol in the post. That's bullying him. You're wearing him down. Like I was saying yesterday with Nick, Coach Nick, with B-Ball Breakdown, I was explaining to him, and what Eddie Johnson from the Phoenix Suns telecaster told me. He said he would rather go 24/7, back and forth. You know what I'm saying? The D'Antoni system, running on offense, running on defense, no big deal. But he said what wore him down was sitting in that post getting beat down. That's what wore him down more than running the game. And that's what you've seen with James Harden the last 2 games. You know what I'm saying? He's exhausted. When you see James Harden exhausted, you'll see lazy passes coming out of nowhere. And you know what that is a turnover every time in the NBA, because these are talking about the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Tonight was a horrific performance by James Harden. I'm not surprised, because James Harden doesn't come up in the clutch. They took all the pressure off San Antonio Spurs. Once you do that, that team is playing with no kind of pressure at all. They can do what the hell they want to do. You know, and they start shooting threes and playing team defense. And that's what happened.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I wonder, do you think, like what we were saying, if he's gonna stop getting some of these calls, you know, that he's gotten, and like I said, he's a smart basketball player. If he's going up under and do what he does, if they are gonna stop calling that, do you think he's good enough to adjust? I think he is.
If they're gonna stop calling that for James Harden, they gotta stop calling for the whole league. This has been going on for 4 years straight. This man has led the league in free throws attempts and free throws made by at least 100 more than the rest. You know what I'm saying? And it's got nothing to do with that little 3-point thing. That's something he just developed this year. Thank God for James Harden for that. You know, one game I saw this year, I was at a Utah Jazz game one time this year, and I was about 4 rows away from the Rockets. So I could see everything that's going on. I saw 4 foul attempts on a 3-point line. That's amazing to me. I don't care what anybody says. Anybody that get to the free throw line, you know, 10, 11 times a game and make 10, you know what I'm saying? That's what Steph Curry needs to do. If you shoot 90% from the free throw line, get your ass on the free throw. Figure it out. Get as far as you can. Now, he developed a little, layup, getting to the rim, which he never had before from last year. But James Harden has been shooting 70% from 0 to 3 feet for the last 3 years. And that's elite. That's in LeBron status. Just to put that number in perspective, Russell Westbrook, I say Westbrook, it almost came out again. But,
Curtlow, real quick, I saw that tweet. Someone got mad at you for calling him Westbrook today.
Yeah, I said, no, but I wanted to say he only shoots 56% from the 0 to 3 feet. So he's not finishing at the rim like James Harden and LeBron James. This man is unstoppable on offense, and then you add the foul game, it makes him even more unstoppable, like Affinity unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to James Harden.
Yeah. Yes. I want to say this. The one thing the Spurs do a good job of, I know Grizzlies fans got mad at in the last. The Spurs do a good job of playing defense without fouling. I think they're the best in the NBA at that. They do foul. What bothered me in this. Go ahead.
Real quick. You can't take what that guy said. David Fizdale, respected coach in this league, for that guy to come up and say something about that and get a fine for that for a reason. A man ain't making that much money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he gonna take no little $20,000, $30,000 fine. You know what I'm saying, for that. And he had all the argument because they was getting all the fouls called. Kyrie Leonard is a offensive fouler every time. Every time he gets to the paint or gets anywhere he wants to, he's moving somebody around. I noticed that all series. You know what I'm saying? Paul Gasol was pushing Capella around. They didn't call it. I understand that. Again, the Rockets didn't adjust. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry about that, man, but I had to, I was getting a little, listening to everything. I was getting a little heated.
No, man, I know. I understand. Hey, just for all those who might not know, Curtlow is probably the biggest Rockets fan in the world. So
you don't say.
Yes, he's a huge Rockets fan. And this is big because he apps like some Rockets fans would make all kinds of excuses. Not Curtlow. He said they played like ass, so that's always a good thing. Brady, I don't know if we've gone to you yet. It's your turn now. And what did you think tonight?
Well, I think Byron was giving me some trash yesterday for saying that I thought that Harden, for as good as he is a little limited in some areas, and I think we saw that tonight. I think we saw that for kind of the whole second half of the series. And I think there's kind of a problem in that he doesn't have a good enough 3-point game to beat you that way. He doesn't have a good enough off-ball game to beat you that way. So if you start to make a single adjustment, it can be a little bit of a domino effect with him. So the Spurs were keeping him off the foul line a little bit, whether you want to say it was the Spurs or the refs, he wasn't getting to the foul line as much. And as good of a finisher as he is at the rim, a large part of that is because he gets so many fouls. He's so good at drawing fouls that when the defense then tries not to foul him, they're going so far out of their way to avoid fouling him because he's so good at getting that foul. that it opens up the game for him to be able to finish at the rim. Or they close in on him, try to help out so that no one has to foul him, and he's able to kick it out for someone to have the open three. But his entire offensive game is predicated on that ability to draw fouls. Everything comes from that. So if you're able to take that away, either with a good defender or a good defensive scheme or refs, not even just take it away, but if you're able to limit it, it's just a domino effect down the line of his efficacy as an offensive player. And like Curtlow said, having him play defense against Pau Gasol was, I get that D'Antoni was trying to do something creative, but it was horrible. Not only could he not defend Gasol, not only was he then getting destroyed on the glass. Anytime Aldridge missed, Gasol would just knock Harden out of the way and grab the offensive rebound. But like Curtlow said, that's the most tiring thing you can do, especially Absolutely. For a guy like Harden who depends on being able to stop on a dime. When you play post defense, you're putting all of your energy in your lower legs because you're trying to hunker down and you're trying to make yourself heavy and you're trying to leverage yourself and you're just putting all of your energy into your calves. And then you go on the offensive end and you're a guy who makes his living being able to stop, being able to cross over, having a first step and a jab step, and you've been putting all your weight on your calves all game. That has an effect.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And I want to go back to Curtlow for this. Why is D'Antoni not using Montrezl Harrell or Montrell, however you say it? Why is he not using him? Why is he not using him?
From what I heard from the insider, they told me he doesn't fit the system, and D'Antoni went to management about it that he doesn't fit the system. The guy had 2 20-point games. You know what I'm saying? Are you kidding me? You know, you can't use him at center. You don't have no other center. You're gonna put Ryan Anderson out there so we can have a layup line over there in Houston, Texas. You know what I'm saying? Give me a break, man.
And you know what's funny is, essentially, Montrezl Harrell and Clint Capella are kind of the same player. When you watch him play.
You know, I did an article on Montrezl Harrell when he first was drafted and Capella, and to see I wrote about him being like a Draymond Green kind of type. Because, you know, his energy, effort, all that stuff that comes with it. You know, he's made for the playoffs, just like Patrick Beverley's made for the playoffs. This is the guy that would have thrived in this situation. But, you know, you get coached with ego. You get Indy, you get McHale, you get this guy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta change stuff up when it comes to the playoffs, man. If Pop is over there putting 19 lineups last game, just in the first half, you know what I'm saying? And you're going with your same seven-man rotation, somebody's gonna get tired after a while. You know what I'm saying? Legs. You're gonna see. You know when somebody's tired when you see the jump shots coming up short. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta look out for stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Now I want to go to I want to go to you again, Curtlow, since obviously the Rockets, they're out now. What do you think they need to do in the offseason to take that next step, be able to compete with Golden State and Cleveland?
They got to get defense. They don't know how to. D'Antoni, he did okay job on defense, but it was more of that Belzic guy that did. He was in charge of the defense. He came from the Grizzlies. But what's going on right now is there's not enough defenders to counter the offense. You see with Curry, there's not enough defenders. I mean, he's got so many defenders on there that it makes him look so great on defense. When I don't want to talk about this. We're gonna get in.
That's all right.
I know I'm gonna just. I'm gonna piss you off, Matt, and I don't want to do that. You know,
hey, Brady's another Curry guy, so you got 2 of us tonight.
One of the worst perimeter defenders in the NBA.
Come on.
I don't understand why people don't see this. It's just as bad as Harden.
Oh my! You
know what I'm saying?
Hey, Brady, we're gonna save that for another. We're gonna save that.
All right, because I have some words about that.
We're gonna save that for another time.
Couldn't guard my grandmother on the perimeter.
Yes.
You gotta be kidding me.
Hey,
Same thing with James Harden. Kyrie Irving, same way. You know what I'm saying? Ain't gonna discriminate. We'll put them all in there.
Yes. So who do you think the Rockets, like, looking at guys who will be free agents, like draft, maybe, the Rockets, do they have their first round pick this year, the Rockets?
Yeah, I believe they do.
Okay. What would you like to see them do in the draft? What kind of guy do you think they need to get? Also free agency, add a piece or two?
I don't think they need any pieces. I really don't believe they need any pieces, man. This was a champion. This is one of the best benches in the NBA, right? Lou Williams, you traded that for Corey Brewer, great. They just need to put defenders around them. Like Montrezl Harrell went perfect on that second unit, man. Yes. I don't understand that crap. It really pisses me off, man. You know what I'm saying? Because they needed defense. You can't have Ryan Anderson or anybody else. Even Nene was great on offense, but you know he's old now. He's not a great defender. He's never been a rim protector. He's just strong and he rebounds and he shows up in big time moments. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's always been Nene's persona.
Like I said, you can use Harrell the exact same way offensively and defensively as you use Capella.
100% agree. Why can't you? You know what I'm saying? If he's got a 7'3" wingspan, the same as Capella has, 7'3" wingspan, why can't he go out there and block shots? He's known for that. When I scouted him on tapes on when he was coming out of college, and I noticed every time he's number one in and ones when it came to the NCAA, ACC. That told me he was strong. He can jump just as high as he can straight up. Then he can jumping from running and jumping. You know what I'm saying? This guy has all the tools to be great. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why people hold people back like this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look who's joined us. What's up, Byron?
What's up, man?
Hey, I gotta at first. I'm gonna go to you, Byron, and I want you to go first. I want to go to your thoughts on James Harden after this, but I want your overall thoughts of the Rockets tonight, man. Everybody wants to hear your thoughts because you and Curtlow are Curtlow and you may be the two biggest Rockets fans.
What up, Curtlow? Well, you're not gonna get that angry, wordy guy tonight. I mean, I can tell you about one night and how one night was a very tragic ending to a pretty good season. I mean, I think that the Rockets exceeded people's expectations this season. Unfortunately, they had to go out like this. I honestly also having some issues with my phone, and I didn't even realize the game was going on. I thought I was dreaming because by the time I made it to the game, it was the third quarter, and they were getting blown out. That was, for me, the equivalent of, like, walking in on your parents, like, getting it on or something. You know what I mean? It was just like – it was a nightmare.
Oh, that's weird.
It was a nightmare, yo. But, like, I do think that, your question was what do I think about the James Harden or the Rockets overall?
The Rockets overall tonight, man. That's just 114 to 75, man.
Horrible, man. I didn't think the series would end the way it started, and the Rockets be on the receiving end of a blowout. I will say this though. I think they were outcoached. You cannot go against Popovich, and I have a pinned tweet. If you follow me on Twitter, and it'll show you that I predicted Cavs Spurs at the beginning of the season. Are you
sticking with that?
If Popovich can pull that off, well, he's the greatest coach of all time. And I really just believe within myself that the Rockets were outcoached. D'Antoni, a lot of this falls on him because if you go back and look at Game 5, the decisions that the players were making, it looked like a pickup game. They played it like a pickup game at the YMCA. And you just can't play like that in the playoffs. And a lot of the blame has to go on him for allowing some of the foolishness. You see how Pop be all in his players' face, going at him, yelling at him, and not that it's right, but I mean,
no, it's absolutely right. They're grown men; they can take it.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, they get paid enough to get yelled at. I mean, he doesn't tolerate the thing. He runs a really tight system, and
he's a military guy. He's a military guy.
And then Tony was too loose, too sloppy. It's like, it's evident that he's used to no offense to this, to this country, but he's used to like, his Euro-Italian, whatever teams, where culture is different. They probably caught up.
Byron, you're attacking the people across the ocean with their style.
I'm not trying to attack them. I'm just saying the culture is different. They probably don't, at the time he was coaching, they probably didn't take the game the same way. There's differences in the game, you know what I mean? The two different styles of game. Is not that I'm, trying to diss the Italians, but, who knows? Maybe they all went out and, like, had pasta or some Alfredo. And I don't know. But it's just like the type of game they play there is not what they play here. And he's shown over and over and over again when it counted that an offensive-minded, fast break, running gun coach will not win against a deep defense, will always win it. When I played basketball, the reason why I was effective was because my mentality was like, I'm going to demoralize them on defense. I'm going to steal the ball. I'm going to block shots. I'm going to get rebounds. Then I'm going to score because that's what I really wanted to do. But I was like, in order for me to score, I had to make things happen. Defense always begats offense.
Let me ask you this, Byron.
Live by the three. If you live by the three, you're going to die by it. James Harden had that. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, because Curtlow and Brady both mentioned this with Popovich. With the rotations, the 7-man rotations, Byron, guys are going to get tired. Both of them mentioned James Harden guarding Pau Gasol and LaMarcus Aldridge at times, and David Lee. Like, what is that from D'Antoni, Byron? What's he thinking?
Well, I don't know what he was thinking. I guess he's thinking I'm gonna go with the smaller lineup, and we'll punish them on offense. I mean, a lot of this blame, you've got to blame D'Antoni for this. I mean, Who else do you blame for this? Mm-hmm. A lot of this has to go to D'Antoni. I just think the decisions. I mean, they had Game 5.
Yes, they did.
They had it. I mean, there was some questionable calls by the refs. You know, we won't go there, but they had it in the bag. If the 3-point shot, if James Harden in that first half of that game, or the second, third quarter, he was getting to the cup whenever he wanted to. Like, it looked so effortless, you know. And if you're doing all of those things, and they're effective, but the 3-point shot is not effective, why are you shooting threes? It's like, if you know you constipated, why in the hell are you still eating?
I give it to you, Byron. You have good metaphors. I'll give you that much.
Yes. But and James Harden was shooting contested threes at that in Game 5 down the stretch. We knew he was tired because he's guarding the post guys, the 7-man rotation.
Because they were hitting so many contested shots, you know, it got to their heads, and they just, well, you know.
You cannot sustain contested 3-point shooting. It's unsustainable. Even if you're Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, right, Brady? You can't sustain contested shooting from 3. It's not going to happen.
And the Rockets aren't good enough to make a high percentage of contested threes anyway.
They're in need, like, and I'm going to go to Curtlow for this too, and I've said it all the time, and this is, everyone talks about how great the Rockets, you know, shooters are, but Curtlow, you know this, they're middle of the pack, right? And everybody was using that as an excuse to VP with Westbrook. But the Rockets aren't a great 3-point shooting team. You there, Curtlow? I don't know if he heard. Brady, can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to Kurt. I'll go back to.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. That's all right. What I was gonna say is, you know, a lot of people, the Rockets, everybody looks at them as a great 3-point shooting team, but when you look at their percentage, they're middle of the pack. They're not a great 3-point shooting team. You know, and I know a lot of people use that against James.
Well, they were in the beginning because what it was like 4th, 5th, but then they started getting hurt. Ryan Anderson and Eric Gordon, and they started getting in and out lineups, changing it up, and they never really got back to normal. But they were like, middle pack at the end. But they have this is my theory on this whole situation here. You know, I think you take too many threes. If you take too many threes, your legs get tired. You know what I'm saying? And this is just, again, this is my opinion. And when you take these many amount of threes, that means you're putting up a lot of shots, and and you're taking them from long distance. So you're tiring yourself out more than you would at taking, little here and there floaters and 3 to 10 feet shots. So that's my theory. But a 3-point shooting team, live and die. See, the Golden State Warriors are that team. You know what I'm saying? But they play defense. They've been number 1 and number 2 defense all year. It's going to be unstoppable for anybody to try to beat them in a 7-game series. I mean, not trying to get swept. You know what I'm saying? But that's what's going on. You got to have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense to be considered a championship team.
I want to ask you this then, Curtlow, and I'm only going to ask you this because we've all kind of talked about this, but we haven't. So with what you just said, the top offense, the top defense, like Golden State, does Cleveland have a chance against Golden State? Because we know Cleveland is high-powered offense. They, can they flip that switch and play defense?
Can they flip the switch? I'm sorry, you're breaking in and out again.
Yeah, my bad. Can they flip that script? Can they flip that script and play defense against the Warriors and take them 6-7 games?
No, no, because the ball movement, their ball movement with Golden State Warriors is going to expose that team defense. All it takes is one person out of line, and that whole defense is gone. And that's what the Warriors and Spurs. You seen it tonight. They had awesome ball movement. That ball was moving 24/7. When you catch shooters in rhythm like that, that's like automatic, man. 85% chance that thing going in. Like that ball swinging 1-1-1, and then that final one's wide open. You know what I'm saying? You make the extra pass. Players love that feeling.
Absolutely. And then if the Golden State Warriors aren't making shots like we saw against Utah the other, Kevin Durant can just go one-on-one and get you buckets.
Yeah. See, the Golden State Warriors don't have to worry about it. Their offense doesn't go. They still got their defense to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? So how do you beat that? It's impossible.
And you know what I've noticed this year with Golden State that I didn't notice the last 2 years. When their offense was bad, their defense suffered. This year, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Draymond Green. Shout out Draymond Green, Defensive Player of the Year. If he doesn't get that, man, that's it. I've never seen a guy guard 1 through 5 in my life. I mean, I think LeBron James can do it, but I don't think it's going to be like Draymond Green does.
No.
Don't act like you didn't see.
What?
Right about
Dennis Rodman.
I was about to say, you're going to bring up Dennis Rodman. I know you're going to bring up Dennis Rodman.
I don't know if Rodman could guard 1 and 2 though.
Better than the average center, but not the way Draymond can.
Yeah, I don't know.
If Pistons Rodman, definitely not the Bulls Rodman.
That's for sure.
Man, you got to understand. Like yeah, maybe, but in the last 20 years though, Draymond Green hands down is the best defensive. He's the best help defensive player I've ever seen. On Rudy Gobert, who's been any other year, Rudy Gobert is defensive player of the year. Because he's fantastic. But I'm going to you on this one, Brady, with the Warriors' defense, man. Have you noticed it this year? You watch Warriors games. Have you noticed it that their bad shooting does not really affect their defense this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few different things going on. The first is inexplicably Draymond got even better than he was last year and the year before. And he kind of learned how to guard more positions and how to go hard on every single possession, regardless of what he was doing offensively. You don't see him press on either side of the floor the way you used to. And then the big one has been upgrading from Harrison Barnes to Kevin Durant. Not only is Durant obviously a much better player on both sides of the ball, but he's so versatile as well. Obviously not as versatile as Draymond Green, but Durant can guard 5 positions as well. He can't guard centers the way Draymond can. He can't guard any position the way Draymond can, but he can guard 1 through 4 very, very, very well.
And his weak side shot blocking is fantastic.
And he brings it on both sides of the floor. And their ability to switch, when you have Green, Durant, Klay Thompson, and Andre Iguodala, they switch everything.
And Patrick McCaw when he's in the basketball.
And Patrick McCaw when he's in as well, absolutely. And so that switching ability has really helped them, I think, maintain their defensive composure even when the shots aren't falling, because they are all staying involved. No one really is having to buckle down on individual assignments where a lot of times that's where you see when players are struggling offensively, they start struggling in those individual defensive assignments. They're thinking too much. They're trying too hard. Whatnot. They're buying into the system this year in a way that they haven't in years past. And it's just perfect defensive execution, perfect defensive chemistry. Everyone's doing what they need to be doing. And also, when you add Durant's length with his enormous wingspan, even when they're not playing at their absolute best defensively, they have so much length that it's incredibly difficult to penetrate. It's incredibly difficult to pass because their arms are just all over the place. So even when they do take a possession off here or there, it's not like they have these open holes that you can drive through the way we saw, Houston tonight, where they have guys who aren't as long and have their arms down and they're just these passes to the basket. Even if the Warriors aren't playing their best, they're going to be incredibly, incredibly difficult on that side of the ball.
I'm going to you, Gonzo. You there?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to you. Do you see, the Cavs? Can they turn it up defensively? I know you've said sweep, and I'm sure you're sticking by it. But do you think the Cavs have any kind of chance? I'm going to get to Spurs Warriors after this, but for now, because we mentioned Cavs, can the Cavs turn it on against a team like the Warriors defensively?
Absolutely not. Not this year. Kevin Durant completely eliminates what they did last year. Because look,
Do you think is it because he can go one-on-one?
it can be one on one. It could be wide. Let's just go with the Harrison Barnes thing last year. Harrison Barnes, he won one game 2 for like 14. He won another game like 0 for 11, and those were wide open shots. Kevin Durant will not miss those shots. And then he looks like a much better defender in Golden State. The Cavs are in trouble.
I actually think here's the thing though with Durant. I think on ball, I think Durant and Barnes are kind of similar on ball, but it's the off ball help side defense that separates Durant from Barnes. I think on the ball they're very similar. Harrison Barnes is a pretty good on ball defensive player, but off the ball, being able to switch, and Durant, you can go with that small ball lineup because Durant himself is like 7 feet tall and can guard the big guys.
And something else, when I saw the last game, I think the Golden State played against Cleveland when I think they blew them out. They had Kevin Durant on Kyrie Irving a lot. And I mean, he made Kyrie Irving take a lot of bad shots because he couldn't get around. He couldn't do all that dribbling and get around his lengthy arms. He couldn't really shoot over him like he would like to. Kevin Durant made it very difficult for Kyrie Irving. That's going to be a matchup to see in the finals.
That will be an interesting matchup. Obviously, you can't run it when LeBron's in the game because Durant or Draymond Green has to be on LeBron. You can't put Klay Thompson on LeBron. He's just too damn small. But when Kyrie's in there and KD is and LeBron's out, you can make that matchup and make life hell for Kyrie Irving because Kevin Durant can give him space. So all that, Kyrie Irving clearly has the best handle of anybody in the NBA. But if you get a guy like Durant on him, he can give him a couple feet because he's so long. He doesn't have to get in his chest.
This is going to be a matchup we're going to see in the finals. We're going to see Golden State. We're going to see a lot of Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Iguodala, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry on the floor a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very hard for Cleveland to score.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm calling. I said 7 games, and I'm going to.
It's a sweep. They're going to
say 7 games. The only reason, Gonzo, I'm saying 7 is because, man, and I think we can all agree. Even you said it on Twitter, Gonzo. LeBron James he's at another level right now. He is the best player in the world, and it's not even close for number 2.
He is.
That's why I give the Spurs. That's why I give them a chance. You cannot count LeBron James out.
But
look who they're playing. They played the Toronto Raptors. Who's not going to look great against them? We know he's the best player in the world.
The Warriors haven't. The Warriors really haven't played anybody either. When you think about it,
I can almost bet the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers are better than Toronto and Indiana.
Yeah, and in all honesty, even with Tony Parker, I think the Warriors would have won in 5. They're going to sweep the Spurs. And it's just going to be ugly, but the Spurs don't match up. Like the Spurs should have lost to the Rockets. The Rockets outplayed them in most of these games and lost. But I happening. But I want to go to Byron now. Byron, what do you think? Cavs, Warriors, because that seems to be what we're going to get. I know you said Spurs, Byron, so we'll get there in a second. But I know you said we're talking Cavs, Warriors now. That's what we all want as fans. It's Celtics, Lakers all over again. I think that's what we got. Can the Cavs, can they flip that switch? Can they put the defense on the Golden State Warriors? Can it work?
This team, I honestly, like, as much as I would like, because I just, everybody knows that I don't like the Warriors. I won't use it. But
Byron, no. I want Brady to hear it. Say it, Byron. You hate the Golden State Warriors. Say it.
No, I'm not going to say it.
Don't hold back. No, absolutely not. We've had many conversations, and I've heard what you've said, Byron. Say it. Don't hold back.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is this.
Everybody, I'm going to interrupt him. It's my show. He hates the Golden State Warriors.
I'm not. My team is not. But what I will say is this. It's like, I think they're going to have it's not going to be like the past 2 years. LeBron is going to need help to beat he cannot do it by himself.
He had help last year. He had Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, okay, not LeBron. The Cavs are gonna need more help. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Durant's gonna go and get his ring. You know, they're gonna spank.
I can't wait to hear this.
Then in the offseason, LeBron is gonna start talking that crazy talk. And then I see Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade. Hell, they might even get Ray Allen to come out of retirement and play, man.
That team would be sorry, Byron. That team would be sorry.
No, but they're gonna get. I mean, they're gonna do something, man. Somebody's
they're gonna have five guys. They're gonna have 5 guys from the 08 Olympic team on their bench.
Yeah, but I'm saying somebody's gonna leave, man. Like they might even trade Kevin Love, man. They're gonna They might go after one of these free agents. Like, I mean, they're gonna have to make some changes because LeBron, I think he has a legitimate 3 years left in the league playing at this level.
And he may have 5 left. I thought
maybe.
I thought no, hey Byron, he's 32 years old. I thought when he hit 30, 31, we were going to see a major drop off because, and you've heard me say it many times, Byron. I mean, we've known each other since we were 17. And I thought his athleticism would go, and it hasn't.
But just like Malone, his conditioning, man, is so good.
It's better than anybody in the history of the league.
And when people talk about the Jordan comparison, and we won't get too deep into that, but they've been very fortunate and very blessed to in their prime not have any major injuries, not any career-ending where they've had to miss games or anything like that. So I mean, they're gonna have to make a lot of changes to come. This Warriors team is too good. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like space. Like if they talking about him being in Space Jam 2, well, hell, this finals was gonna be Space Jam 2. He's playing the Monstars.
Yes. I like it, Byron, bringing that heat. I'm gonna throw this out there. I think it's going 7, like I said, because I just think LeBron James is too damn good. I know they're, if you're a Spurs, a Warriors fan, a Rock, you think he's, you got all the names for him. He's the best player in the world. He's great, second best player of all time. You can't count the guy out.
Matt,
I mean, he damn near beat the Warriors 2 years ago by himself.
If it goes 7,
Golden State's gonna win.
No, if it goes 7,
I got Golden State.
If Cleveland can take them to 7, they're going to beat them.
You think Cleveland's gonna go into Oracle 2 years in a row in Game 7 and beat them? With Kevin Durant.
Stranger things have happened, but I will say this: I agree. And if by some stroke of miracle they can, I'm gonna tell you like this: that's it for that team. That's enough to demoralize them right there. That's it. They're not gonna come. It's not gonna work out. And the first one that's gonna leave, gonna start crying, is that Klay Thompson.
I knew you had to throw a Klay Thompson jab in there. I've been waiting for it. It's going to be fun. But now, before we get out of here, I want this last topic to be, I want to talk Warriors versus Spurs, because that's what we got. I'm going to do a preview for it again Saturday, and we'll preview the Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully it ends tomorrow. Hopefully Boston puts Washington out of their misery, because Washington's not going to win a Game 7 in Boston. It's not going to happen. We got Warriors Spurs Sunday, and I'm going to you, Gonzo. What's going to happen in this Warriors Spurs series? Can the Spurs get a game from them? I think they can. I don't think they will. Right now, I'd say no, but I think they can. But what do you think? How many games is this Warriors Spurs series going to go?
I think Golden State's going to make history. I think the Spurs have opportunity because they have the coaching. They have players that know what to do. There are a lot of veteran players that can play basketball, and they're fundamentally sound as a team. I think they have a chance to get a game, but I'm sticking with my predictions. The Warriors won't lose a game this playoff.
Damn. This is like, what was it? 02? Was it 02 Lakers or 01 Lakers? It was 02 Lakers.
01.
Oh no, 01. That's right. Yeah, and they lost one game, I think.
Golden State won't lose any.
That was 15, not 16.
Yeah. Man, that's right, because they only played best of 5 in the first round. Then they were 15-1. Yeah, that would be something if they did it. I'm going to you, Brady. Spurs, Warriors. How many games?
I'm going to go with the sweep as well.
Nice.
I could see it being 5 very easily, but
because of the coaching.
Yeah, San Antonio is so well coached. They've given the Warriors problems in the past. You have a terrific player, obviously, in Kawhi. They just have enough things they can do that they can take a game here or a game there. And they definitely don't have enough things to do to make it an interesting series. So I would be shocked if it went 6. Absolutely shocked. But I think they can steal one.
Yeah, I agree. Byron, here's your chance now, because I know what your tweet says, your pinned tweet. What's going to happen, Warriors, Spurs, Byron? Let me know.
I mean,
say it, Byron.
I don't think the Spurs team can realistically beat the Warriors team, especially as banged up and as old as they are. I want to say sweep, but, you know, the tweets, they never lie.
And Byron somehow always finds a way to get it right.
So, Byron, you think they'll win, you just don't think realistically they can win.
He's sticking with his prediction, but he's not confident with it. There's nothing wrong with that, man. I'm going to say this. I think gaming series, I don't think they're just going to beat the snot out of them 4 straight games like we saw against Portland and Utah. I actually think the Warriors are going to blow them out 2 games, one in Oracle, one at AT&T. I think they'll get a blowout win in each, but I think there will be 2 close games. The pace and this Warriors team, like the reason I said the Rockets, and Sam, he attacked me for it in the chat room. That's okay. He's a big Spurs fan. Shout out to Sam, I am. But I got to say, the reason I say the Rockets should have won, they were down. They were playing their pace in game 2 through 3 quarters. They were down 5. They were missing shots. San Antonio was hitting a high percentage, and the Rockets just folded in the fourth quarter. And then obviously they should have took game 5 if not for the dumbass turnovers, mostly James Harden down the stretch. The Rockets this should have been a closeout game today for the Rockets. It really should have. And they blew it coaching. Absolutely, it was coaching. Byron hit it perfectly. And I just don't see Golden State making the same mistakes that the Rockets made down the stretch. Now, and we remember back in 2013, Brady knows this well. Outside of that Miami, who gave the Spurs the biggest series that year? It was the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson was a second-year player. Draymond Green was a bum on the bench. Come on now. Harrison Barnes was a rookie.
Still a bum. He just started.
Stop it, Byron. Stop it with that blasphemy. Do not call Draymond Green a bum. You stop it. But that was a series, and that's why you see all these things on Twitter all the time. Well, Steph Curry can't carry a team. Yeah, you obviously didn't see what happened in 2013 when he carried the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to watch, Matt, because we haven't seen these teams match up since that year.
When that was an up and coming Warriors team.
Yeah, and everyone kind of thought in the last 2 years since the Warriors really turned themselves into, these Titans. Everyone kind of thought in those 2 years that they were going to end up playing the Spurs in the playoffs, and we got cheated out of it a little bit both years. And so it's going to be fun to finally get that matchup. The Spurs play the Warriors really well during the regular season. They have always given the Warriors problems,
except in that third game.
Except in that third, yeah, that was ugly in a beautiful way.
The second one doesn't count. The second one doesn't count because the Warriors' best 4 players all sang.
Yeah, that doesn't count. But they play them really well in the regular season. But at the same time, I think the Warriors just present such enormous matchup problems for the Spurs with their skill sets and their shooting ability, their athleticism, their depth, that it's going to be interesting to see if that toughness that the Spurs are able to play with them in the regular season is able to translate into the postseason. I don't think it will, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great series. And you know what? And Brady, you could, because you're out there on the West Coast, Byron hates the Warriors, so he doesn't watch. That's okay, even though he's also on the West Coast. They're actually responding very well to Mike Brown. And I like to see that. I like to see that because by all accounts, Mike Brown is a very nice man. And it's good that they're reacting to him.
Y'all had lunch? Y'all had dinner with each other or something?
I said by all accounts, he's a very nice man. I'm going by what other people have said.
Here's the thing.
Very nice man. And even after that, the first game he coached when they were in Portland, Draymond Green came out in the post-game conference. His rotations were beautiful, and I totally agree because I was telling my dad that, God, Mike Brown's rotations are awesome this game.
They're better than Steve Kerr's. Like, I love Steve Kerr, but Mike Brown has better rotations, especially in the playoffs.
Yes, he does.
But I think you're touching something big there, Matt, and I think oddly enough, Steve Kerr deserves a huge amount of credit for this because he has that kind of Phil Jackson approach of letting guys be themselves, letting them have their own personality, not trying to fit them into a certain box. And he's really given his players a lot of freedom to be themselves. And we saw it last year when he missed the first half of the season and Luke Walton took over and they started off on that historic 24-game winning streak and they jumped out to, like a 40-3 record or whatnot with Steve Kerr at home the whole time. Steve Kerr, as great of a coach as he is, his primary impact is the system he lays in place and the management of his players.
Yes.
So when he's missing for a while and you plug in a different coach, he's already laid down this framework, not just in terms of the schemes offensively and defensively, but he's laid this framework for letting players be themselves, letting them do the things they like to do and capitalize on their strengths so that they have that freedom that you can put in a different coach and they're still going to play to the best of their abilities, which I think is really important.
Absolutely. And like you said, I agree with you. I think Mike Brown is better with the rotations.
Absolutely.
If you notice a couple of times in that Jazz series, you know how usually Curry, he plays the whole first and third. He goes in at about the 6-minute mark of the second and the fourth. Well, in a couple of those games, he went in at the 8-9-minute mark.
Yeah.
So he played a little long because he knew they needed him. And Kerr usually would not do that. He would sit him. And I thought it was the right move. And I was looking at him like that. Curry's coming in early. He's got to come in early. It's kind of hanging on the balance here. You got to put Steph in the basketball game. Gonzo, Spurs, Warriors. You said it's sweep, right?
Yeah, it's a sweep. Yeah, Spurs can possibly get a game, but I'm not counting on that. I think
you think we're looking at 4 blowouts, or do you think we're going to get a couple close games here just because Pop is such a good coach?
I think we're going to get a couple of close ones, but the other two will most certainly be blowouts, and they will sweep their way all into the finals, and they'll win in the finals. They're gonna cancel every last one of those jokes that Cleveland made last year about blowing 3-1 leads, when technically they really didn't blow a 3-1 lead. You got Draymond suspended on some BS. You threw Curry out in Game 5. I don't want to hear this, Cavs. The sweep is coming, and Durant's going to get a ring.
Nice. I want to close out with this with this topic because everybody who's paid attention to Twitter 2 weeks ago during that Grizzlies series and early in the Rockets series, Spurs fans, what was their biggest gripe? Kawhi has no help. Right? We all heard it. We saw it on Twitter. The Spurs fans were speaking. Kawhi has no help. They're garbage. They're inconsistent. They're in the conference finals right now. They just beat the Houston Rockets without Kawhi Leonard, without Tony Parker, who I don't think would have made a huge difference anyways. But come on now. Byron, does Kawhi Leonard have help? Are they good role players on that Spurs team?
Now, what logic tells me is, if I'm being realistic, I want to agree with Gonzo, and I say it's a sweep because we don't know what LaMarcus Aldridge we're gonna get now.
No.
In terms of like the solidarity of, the solidarity that they've shown, and I'm talking about with the exclusion of Tony Parker and their leader Kawhi, it's impressive. I'll give them that. Now
but I want to ask you this: does Kawhi have help though?
He definitely does. But what I'm saying is like, that's the thing that's kind of shaky right now. Is and not a serious threat. But my point is, they've proven how grimy and how gritty they can be in a playoff game, and how realistic. Now you throw Kawhi. We don't know the extent of his injury or the severity of it. Now you throw him back.
He was good. He was good enough to go today.
Okay, well, I
guarantee you he was.
Well,
Pop was playing smart.
You throw him back in there, it's like, we really, really don't know, because now I feel like the Spurs, they weren't the favorite going into this. I think
I agree.
There's an air of invincibility with them. And you telling me now, Mike Brown, Popovich doesn't have the players that Mike Brown has, but Mike Brown is still, a substitute teacher. He might be a nice guy, but, he's a loser coach.
Damn, Byron. You're not forgiving him for Cleveland, are you?
Or LA. I mean, I will say this. They didn't give him a fair shot in LA. They didn't give him a fair shot to go and change his offense and change it. But, you still got Popovich there. And, he's made it this far. I mean, we who knows? Who really knows? Kawhi definitely has. I mean, if Ginobili and LaMarcus Aldridge could play like they played in this Rockets, if they can really turn it up, and Ginobili for one series can be the old Ginobili, hey, we might actually have a series.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, the big thing is if.
Now that's what my illogical mind is saying. Now my logical mind is like, okay, sweet.
I like the way Byron's thinking. Brady, I'm going to you. Kawhi Leonard, does he have help?
Yeah, but there's a caveat, I think. I think if you put this Spurs team in, say, Indiana, and you had Nate McMillan coaching them, I would not say that Kawhi Leonard has a bunch of help.
Here's the deal, though. Let me real quick. This is what I've said this many times. Coach of all time, Kawhi Leonard, right? That's help.
Oh, absolutely. Greg Popovich is the greatest coach of all time. That's huge help, but but it goes beyond that, in my opinion, with Popovich, because not only is he the greatest coach in terms of schematics and adjustments, he is an elite manager of his players. Mm-hmm. And he has a reputation that helps him with that. So it's not
only Phil Jackson was better managing.
Only Phil Jackson, completely agree. So not only does Kawhi have help in that he has elite offensive and defensive schemes, but he has guys 2 through 15 who completely buy into those schemes. I don't think LaMarcus Aldridge is a very good number 2 player on a team. I don't think Pau Gasol is a very good number 3 player.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But when you put them in a great scheme and they're buying into it on both sides of the ball, and all of your bench players are doing the same thing. I wrote this on Twitter yesterday, or during Game 5. Most bench players in the NBA, they play like they're trying to prove to their coach that they should be a starter. And the Spurs bench players play like they know exactly what their role is, and they're trying to prove that they're great at that role, not that they deserve a bigger role.
And there's no selfishness. There's nothing in San Antonio.
There's no selfishness whatsoever.
So good.
So I don't think he has too much help if you just look at it on paper. If you go through these names, LaMarcus Aldridge, Pau Gasol, Patty Mills, whatever, then you look at it and go, no. I mean, he has more help than Russell Westbrook, but he doesn't have a bunch of help. Then you take Greg Popovich's system and you take all those guys buying into that system, yeah, he's got a lot of help.
Absolutely. Gonzo, what are your thoughts? Does Kawhi Leonard have help?
He has help because of the coaching. Mm-hmm. I think if you put Greg Popovich on OKC right now, those bench players might look just like San Antonio's bench.
But I want to ask you this, though. If Russell Westbrook is playing for Greg Popovich, Skip Bayless said he couldn't do it, that he wouldn't listen. Do you think Russell Westbrook listens to Greg Popovich?
I think he would. I think Russell would listen to somebody who has a championship pedigree. I think he would. I would hope so. I think the way Russell Westbrook plays, he gives off a level of arrogance and kind of like he wants to do things his way. But I don't think he's that type of person. I think he would take advice from somebody, like I said, who has championship pedigree easily. He would change.
Because if you can't play for Greg Popovich, you don't deserve to be in the NBA if you can't play for Greg Popovich. And one thing I'll say, the Spurs, like we all talk about the Spurs, they're not, you don't see celebrations with the Spurs, and that's true. That's Greg Popovich. What they do though, like every other team, and I watch it, they do complain to the officials. Nobody talks about it because of the Spurs, but they complain, but they don't celebrate. That's one thing I know. They're not hooting and hollering, throwing up the three signal when they make a three in your face, doing this nonsense. It's gonna be a good series, I think.
I think Popovich is the last of a dying breed when it comes to coaches.
He was raised in that military lifestyle, though, and I think that's what it is. He doesn't stand for the bullshit.
He and Phil Jackson, they weren't afraid of the players. They weren't afraid of their stuff.
And yeah,
that's
exactly
the difference between them.
And I'm gonna tell you this
too.
Mike
Brown, you could tell he's one of those that try to appease his players and you don't want to make them angry.
I think they're listening to him in Golden State, though. I think they're doing a good job, and I think this could be. I hope Mike Brown coaches him all the way through and wins that, because I think that's going to give him I think he's going to be next in line for that next big coaching job if he wins a championship. If Kerr can't come back, and I think he's well deserving.
Be the 2017 Tyronn Lue.
Nah, man, come on now, stop it. But I do. I think Mike Brown is next in line. But with Popovich and Byron, you know this. I don't know if Gonzo or
Brady. That's what I'm saying. Like, he'll be the 2017. Like, he'll get a job because of somebody, and he'll be the new coach of the Warriors if Kerr don't come back.
If let's say Kerr can't come back, I think Mike Brown is the head coach next year, and he's deserving of it. With that said, though, going back to Greg Popovich and Byron, you know this. I don't know if Brady or Gonzo, but I was in the Navy. So and the big thing in the Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force, attention to detail. If you pay attention to Greg Popovich, because he was raised military, attention to detail is very big. Have you noticed 30 seconds into a game, he'll call a timeout because a guy didn't pay attention to a minor detail? Popovich is calling that timeout.
He did it once this year on the first possession.
Yes, because attention to detail is big with Greg Popovich. If you don't pay attention to detail, he will call a timeout, and he's going to whoever screwed up and did not pay attention to that minor detail, he's going to chew your ass out in your face, and I love it. I love that mentality. And you know what? He's one of the few coaches who can get away with it. If Greg Popovich, if a guy signs a contract 3 years, $24 million, 3 years, $40 million, whatever it is. If Greg Popovich benches him for 2 games, you know what that management's going to do? They're not going to say a goddamn thing. You know why? Greg Popovich has earned the right to bench that high-paid player. He's the only coach who can get away with it.
Absolutely.
And it works. It works. You've seen it from time to time. His team gets out. They the first 2 minutes of the game, they come out looking like booty. He's going to sit every one of them down, and they're going to sit for 10, 12 minutes. And nobody says anything because it's Greg Popovich. He can get away with it.
You see how well Pau Gasol played defense tonight and how well he played offense tonight after Greg Popovich turned into a beat yelling at him in Game 5?
Yes. Who was it that he was yelling at before that? Was it David Lee one game, Game 1 against the Rockets? He tore David Lee a new second possession of the game. He calls the timeout. He's in David Lee's face. Now, granted,
he called a timeout just to get mad at David Lee, for sure.
And you know why? I think I respect Popovich. Even last year, he'll call a timeout. He's in Tony Parker's face. He's in Kawhi Leonard's face. He's in Tim Duncan's face. Not this year because Timmy's gone, but he was in Timmy's face last year. I love it. Hold the best players accountable. That's what you have to do.
That's the only way those younger players are ever going to respect it when they're in their face.
No, that's why his younger players, who are not like, somebody was making a point during the game that they were saying like he doesn't have a bunch of first round or any lottery picks on the team that blew the Rockets out today, and he holds those young players or those late draft picks accountable, and he teaches them that team ball, and they end up becoming winners, and they end up they have their fingers, rings put on their fingers.
And let me say, guys who leave Popovich, like a Corey Joseph in Toronto, he's had a very good career in Toronto after winning a championship with the Spurs, playing in that Pop system. He's a very good basketball player. He's taken what he learned. So it's not just, I think it's sometimes you look, well, he's a Greg Popovich player. Of course, he's going to play good in that system. But no, I think Pop guys, they leave. Look at Boris Diaw. He was really good in Utah this year. He's old. He was obviously good before he even went to when he was in Phoenix with D'Antoni because he was younger. I think Diaw came in with Atlanta. He was he was supposed to be the European Scottie Pippen when he got drafted. That never worked out for him, but he was a good NBA player. He's still good in Utah like he was in San Antonio. It's not just
Corey Joseph.
It's not just Corey, like I was going to say, Corey Joseph too, but Boris Diaw in Utah this year. Like you said, like Corey Joseph in Toronto. They're very good NBA basketball players outside of look at George Hill, another Popovich guy.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's not just because they played for Popovich. These guys can play, but what Popovich I think does better than any coach in the NBA, he puts guys in a position to succeed. They buy into their role. Where on other teams, I'm this guy, I want to prove, like you said, Brady, they want to prove their starters. They want to prove I can get 20 a game anytime I want. But in the San Antonio and Popovich's system, he puts them in a position to succeed, and they accept their role, knowing, hey, if I'm a young guy, if I'm going to leave, I can leave. They're just going to refill me. They're just going to, put another guy in my place. I'll go get a machine. Jonathan Simmons is because of what Jonathan Simmons. I said it on Twitter today. He's getting a contract. Jonathan Simmons is looking at about 12 to 15 million a year. I think he's a free agent. I'd have to look.
He is,
too bad we don't have I was going to say too bad we don't have our guy Keith Smith on because he would know right off the top of his head. Jonathan Simmons is getting 12 to 15 million a year just on what he's done in these playoffs. He is a 12 to 15 million a year guy. And that's all Pop. And he'll be successful. And Byron, you're going to like this, but Jonathan Simmons is a Houston guy.
I'm happy.
Simmons, yep, he's from Houston. He's going to be successful wherever.
He's probably visiting with family. He didn't stay in the Four Seasons. He stayed with family while they were in Houston.
Hey, yeah, he's going to Frenchies, right?
Papados. They celebrate at Papados.
That's right.
They'll have Papados for lunch tomorrow.
What about Timmy Chan's?
Nah.
I had to give a shout out to Timmy Chan's. Yeah, I think Jonathan Simmons is going to be a good basketball player wherever he's going to be. He's going to get his money. He's going to be really, really good. I think that's going to end tonight. We had a good one tonight. Shout out to Curtlow for coming on. He had to pop off. I know
he had a good one tonight. Not Rockies fans.
I'm saying we had a good podcast tonight. It's my show, so I can mute people when I want, like I have done to Byron before. I had to mute him that day. It's all right. I'll probably do it again. Byron will say something crazy, and I'll do it again. I'll do it again, but I think we're gonna come back tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. We got Wizards Celtics, so we'll have guys back on. Like I said, I'm working on Joseph Young. Hopefully, I can get him. Charlie will be back on again. I'll get Mike, so we'll have some different guests. I think Sunday we're gonna get Sam on. He's been on with us before. Big Spurs fan. No, I'm not setting you up, Sam. Because even Sam knows the Warriors are going to win. He said it in the chat, but I'm going to bring him on. He's one of our better guests.
Gonzo knows him well. Bring him on during this series because me and him would have sure win at it. And hey, Byron, you've been on. I think you've been on with him before last year when we were doing games in the conference finals. When I started talking bad about David Robinson.
Because you got Dream, right? So that's what we're going to do.
By default. The only reason why he was on the Dream Team was because Hakeem wasn't a citizen.
Damn.
It's the truth, bro.
Stop it. But we're going to get into that. When we have Sam on Sunday, because Byron, you better watch that Warriors game. I'm going to have Byron on, and we're gonna bring that up. That's going to be
I don't think I'm watching no more until the finals, man.
You're going to watch. He's going to watch. He's just saying that.
This series is going to be just as fun as Cleveland.
Yeah. He's gonna watch, and we're gonna bring him on with Sam so he can mention David Robinson and Hakeem. Although Sam will probably admit Hakeem is better, but we're gonna get into that Dream Team debate. But Saturday there's no games, but I'm gonna do a little preview, so I'll get some guys on. So I'm not sure what time Saturday. I'll put it on Twitter. I'll put the links out for everybody. But I'm gonna do this again. Because, for everybody, any new listeners, Brady, where can they find you on Twitter, man? You got a lot of good stuff.
Oh, thank you. Brady.
And also tell them where they can find your work at as well.
Yeah. You can find my Twitter is Brady Klopfer NBA. Klopfer is Klopfer. You can find it in the whatever tweets Matt's sending out about this podcast. And I got a link to my site in my Twitter bio.
Follow.
And I got a Medium site up. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll find my work there.
Yes.
So do it.
All good stuff. Absolutely. Gonzo, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ Gonzo Star.
Yes. Byron, your turn, man. Let them know where they can find you.
I don't really want to be found. You can find me on the Unquestionably Relevant. Yes.
Come on, Byron. Come on. They want to follow you, Byron.
No, they
want to follow you. Yes, they do, man. And all they got to do is go on my tweet with your. Then let them know, Byron.
They find you anyway, Byron.
You look at the Unquestionably Raw tweets that go out, and you can find me.
Byron just let me tell you all this, because Byron's just being difficult tonight because his Rockets lost, and I get it. I totally understand, so I don't fault him for that. If the Rockets would have he would have won tonight, he'd have been, oh man, you can find me at, and he would have probably said, yeah,
my phone number if they won, huh?
Yeah, he probably would have. You probably could have got his phone number tonight. You could have called him on the phone or sent him a text message. I'm telling you, that's how Byron works. But if the Golden State Warriors lose Sunday, Byron's going to be in a very good mood.
No, I'm not going to be.
I guarantee you.
Until they lose the whole series. Until they lose the series.
Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, if Klay Thompson has a bad game Sunday, everybody watch out because Byron will roast him. We all know We all know Byron is a big Klay Thompson fan. Chocolate milk, bro. But that's gonna wrap it up tonight. Please be on the lookout for us tomorrow. I'll send the links out. We'll be on after around the same time again. It just depends on when the game's over. But everyone have a good evening. It's almost the weekend. Do what you got to do. Watch all the playoff games, baseball, whatever it is you do. But we'll be back tomorrow night.